First and foremost, I would like to give all honor, glory, and praise to the Most High God, whose true name is Yahweh, through his only begotten Son, whose true name is Yahweh Shai. And I would like to give a mighty strong shalom to the brothers on the highways and hedges, in all camps, amongst all camps, pushing this word in truth and sincerity. To all the women who are in this truth, reverencing their husbands and doing all they can to keep the faith and keep the commandments, and to the children who are doing all they can to reverence their parents and keep these commandments and have the faith in these last days. Shalom to the nation, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans who are the true Israelites according to the Bible. So the title of this video is called, What is Sin According to the Bible? I just started this video just to give a concrete understanding of what sin is, because a lot of our people don't know. We label things that are sins, that are not sins, as sin, but then we say things that are really sins are not sins. So Lord willing, I can give a understanding. It's going to be a short video of what sin is according to the Bible. So we can just start it off with going to 1 John 3 and 4. Show my screen. Go to 1 John chapter 3 and verse 4. We're going to get the New Testament and the Old Testament that confirms these things. So this is 1 John chapter 3, and let's go to verse 4. So this is 1 John chapter 3 and verse 4. Whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law. So here we're seeing a clear definition of what sin is. Sin is literally you breaking God's law. So now let's go to Romans 7, because Paul speaks on the same thing. Now let's go to Romans 7. Let's just read verse 7. This is Romans 7 and 7. What shall we say then? Is the law sin? God forbid. Nay, I had not known sin, but by the law. For I had not known lust, except the law had said, Thou shalt not covet. So here we see Paul saying that he had not known sin, but by the law. Because sin is the law is going to let you know what you can and cannot do. And if you break those things, that's considered sin. So now let's go to 2 Ezra chapter 15 and verse 24. This is 2 Ezra chapter 15 and verse 24. Woe to them that sin and keep not my commandments, saith the Lord. So here we see once again that sin is being likened to not keeping the commandments. Now let's get the Old Testament on that. You go to Leviticus chapter 4 and verse 1. You're going to read verse 1 through 2. This is Leviticus chapter 4 and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If a soul shall sin through ignorance against any of the commandments of the Lord concerning, this is Leviticus chapter 4 and verse 1 through 2. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If a soul shall sin through ignorance against any of the commandments of the Lord concerning things which ought not to be done, and shall do against any of them. So once again, we see in this example, he's going to ignorance and trespass offerings, but we still see how going against the commandments is going against things that are not to be done. So if the law says thou shalt not eat pork, and you go and eat pork, that's you breaking the law, because the law tells you you should not eat pork. If the law tells you to keep the Sabbath and you do not keep the Sabbath, that will be you breaking the law, because the law says thou shalt keep the Sabbath. Another example, if you're out here committing witchcraft, sorcery, and dealing with familiar spirits, that will be you breaking the law, for the law says not to do those things. So we clearly see, if you examine the law, examine the Torah, as we call it, you will see that things that we are commanded to do and not to do are the guidelines of our moral compass. But nonetheless, we can continue on. Jump down to verse 13. This is Leviticus 4 and 13. And if the whole congregation of Israel sinned through ignorance, so once again, trespass offerings, you're going to get into if you read this entire chapter, and the thing be hid from the eyes of the assembly, and they have done somewhat against any of the commandments of the Lord concerning the things which should not be done, and are guilty. Once again, just want to touch on the point of you breaking the commandment. You sinning is you going against the things, or you doing the things that are not to be done. All right, so now let's go to Leviticus 27. This is Leviticus 4:27. And if any one of the common people sin through ignorance, while he doeth somewhat against any of the commandments of the Lord concerning the things which ought not to be done, and be guilty. So once again, we see it for the common people, we see it for the congregation, and then it talks about the rulers as well in this chapter. Now let's go to Leviticus 5:17. Now this is Leviticus 5:17. And if a soul sin and commit any of these things which are forbidden to be done by the commandments of the Lord, though he wist it not, meaning though he doesn't know it, yet is he guilty and shall bear his iniquity. Right, so once again, sin is being likened to doing the things which are forbidden to be done by the commandments of the Lord. Now let's go to Leviticus 6:2. No, I don't want to go there. Salakia. But now let's go to Leviticus, actually. We go to 19 and then we'll go to 20. No, we go to 19 first. Just to give an examples of what be considered, what things are outlined for us to do. Well, what things are outlined for us not to do, and to give a clear example of what sin is. Sin would be. So let's start with Leviticus 19:4. Turn ye not unto idols, nor make to yourselves molten gods. I am the Lord your God. So we see here that this is a commandment. We aren't supposed to turn to idols, meaning false gods and graven images that we will bow down and worship as if they're gods, nor make to yourselves molten gods, the same thing. So here we see we're given a commandment by the Most High God of what not to do. And if we do this, this would be sin because we're doing something we're being commanded that shouldn't be done. Now let's jump down. Verse 11, you should not steal, neither deal falsely, neither lie to one to another. So if you do any of these things to your people, to your own, you will be considered in sin, stealing from your own brothers and sisters, dealing falsely with your own brothers and sisters, and lying to your brothers and sisters. That would be considered sin because you're going against the commandments that tell you not to do that. I'll get a couple more. This is Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 16. Thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer, meaning the gossiper, among thy people, neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor. I am the Lord. So here we see again, you're commanded not to go up and down gossiping. And God, that's a heavy spirit up within Israel. So we're not supposed to be gossiping, and we're not supposed to stand against the blood of our neighbor. Right? And that can be twofold actually. So physical, you're not letting your brother be killed if you can save his life, or it can be a spiritual application to it, but that'd be another topic for another time. This is verse 17. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Thou shalt anywise rebuke thy neighbor, just meaning to correct them, and not suffer sin upon him. So once again, we're given a commandment that we should not hate our brother in our heart. Now we understand these are the curses, that these thoughts will provoke us, and some brothers and sisters move in that spirit, whether they be in the truth or in the world. But the point is that we are given a commandment not to hate our brother in our heart, not to hate our own people. So if you do that and you have those thoughts and you let those thoughts grow and manifest, they're going to turn into actions. And then you'll be literally in sin within your mind, and then through your actions that will come forth because of the thoughts in your mind. So once again, if you do this, if you hate your brother and you allow sin upon him, you will be in sin technically because this is a commandment. Let's go down now to, let's jump down to verse 26. Ye shall not eat anything with the blood, neither shall ye use enchantments nor observe times. Now, I'll touch on both parts. When it said thou shalt not eat blood, we are not commanded to eat blood at all. You're not supposed to taste it, you're not supposed to eat it. So if you eat blood, you will be in sin because the law tells us we're not supposed to eat blood. We know, neither shall ye use enchantments nor observe times. Dealing with witchcraft and sorcery, because when you deal with the observed times, that goes into astrology, which a lot of our brothers and sisters are in. So that's a commandment. We shall not be doing these things. So if we do these things, that would be sin. Or not, just read one more. You shall not round the corners of your heads, neither shalt thou mar the corners of thy beards. Meaning you shouldn't push back the natural lines of your beard or your lining. And this is a commandment. So if you do those things, you will be in sin. I'll just get this last one. Joshua 22 and 5. I just ended off with this. This is Joshua chapter 22 and verse 5. But take diligent heed to do the commandment and the law, which Moses, the servant of the Lord, charged you, to love the Lord your God, and to walk in all his ways, and to keep his commandments. Now, I want to touch on this point because when it says to love your God, to love the Lord your God, it's making a comparison right after that to walk in his ways and to keep his commandments, showing you that loving the Most High is keeping his commandments, and you're going to do the things that he commands you to do, to actually walk and show a physical action of doing. Read on. And to cleave unto him, to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul, meaning with the best of your ability and all of your mind. Have your mind fixated on the Most High God, studying the word, applying the word, having faith in the word. These are the things we got to take heed to and take diligent heed to do and to make sure we're cognizant of. But with that, I would like to give all honor, glory, and praise to the Most High God, the true name of Jehovah, through his only begotten Son, and say shalom to the nation. Shalom.